When the customer just gives you a frame and says, I want a fold down thingy that I can put stuff in.
And the cracks begin to show. Begin to show, 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 begin to show. Leave the past.
Red Mercury. Garlic. How come you can't see it in a reflection? Red Mercury.
A couple hours away from Milwaukee.
It ain't no thing to do my thing.
Many years ago, back when I was a kid, they had a bear in a cage. You know, we're famous for the bears in the Smokies. And they had a bear in a big cage up there, and people would stop at this market, and they would buy Cokes for this bear. It was in the cage, and tourists would take pictures, because Gatlinburg, that whole area, for years, they would put Cokes and peanuts in the Coca-Cola cans or whatever the bottled Cokes were then. So anyway, this bear was just getting bigger and bigger, but they were doing that, and they were just selling all kinds of stuff at this market. And this poor bear was just drinking them all. And one day, some redneck they put gasoline in a Coke can. Can you believe how bad people are? And the poor thing just went crazy, and it broke out of the pen. And it started toward Sevierville, because Pigeon Ford's about 8 miles from Sevierville. And it just ran all the way down, and it was just going down there. And then, all of a sudden, it just fell over.
Oh.
And,
dead?
No, it was out of gas.
I love you! I love you! I love you so much! You are the greatest!
Many years ago.
You should know about alkyl phenols, or APEs, the soap estrogenic. Potent hormone disruptors, documented in hundreds of studies. They're surfactants that are used widely in soaps and laundry detergents to make them sudsy. You're also in hair care products and plastics, like PVC. Europe and Canada banned them in cleaning supplies, but the U.S. has not. Here's some common ones: nonylphenol or octylphenol, if it ends in phenol. You can be exposed through drinking water, food, even skin contact from your laundry detergent. You probably haven't heard of them because they aren't required to be listed on the label in the U.S. So how do you avoid them? Well, it's activism through your purchase. You can't just keep buying the cheapest, nicest smelling detergent. Find a manufacturer who's committed to safe ingredients and buy their line. You got to take charge of this. Mainstream consumer goods companies out there don't give a rat's butt about you. So I'm putting together a list of resources that I've compiled over the years, and I'll put them on my website soon if you want some help finding good companies. Get smart. You should.
They could be at a projected. How I transformed my patchy beard.
All right, so we have a lot of people ask us how we power the ranch. We're completely off grid. So the ranch is 100% off grid up here. There's no power, there's no power lines. So it's impossible to actually get power here. So what we did is we put in a solar system. So we got 9 panels on 2 beams here. And these 18 solar panels actually fill up batteries in our powerhouse right here. I'll kind of show you it here. So it comes into the solar panels and then goes into our powerhouse. And when there is no sun, we have actually a backup generator here that will kick on and fire up. It's just a propane generator. You can come in here, flip on a light. This is the big battery pack. Fills up batteries, so if there's no sun for a few days, then it'll actually the power actually still work. Got our inverters here, controllers here, and everything works like normal. We got lights, you got freezers, fridges, and this is off-grid living. Another cool feature up at the ranch, we have a well over here, and the solar panel actually power a 220 well. We got a big tank that we buried clear up on the hill, so we can flip on that well, and we can pump water clear up to the top of that hill in a 1,000-gallon tank. And we have gravity flow pressure to fill the cabins here while we're here at the ranch. So we're not constantly turning on a pump all the time to waste the power of the solar power. But yeah, this is the ranch, off grid, completely off grid at Silver Spur Ranch. So come out and ride with us.
I strongly feel and believe that it's a simulation that we're basically living in. The night my son was born, while my wife was going through labor, I couldn't sleep. So I started drawing Vitruvian Man. And as I was drawing Vitruvian Man, I started noticing something about the way that the square was placed against the circle. And I noticed there's something there that was telling me there's something more to this. And I said, geez, it cannot be that if I measure the angle from the center of the circle to the corner of the square, what would it tell me? And I measured it, and it was 51.85 degrees. That's the exact same slope angle as the Great Pyramid. So wait a minute. What are the odds? What I then decided to do is if I figured out that the circle had a radius of 1 unit, then of course its area would be pi. And so I thought, well, let me see if I could figure out what the value then would be correspondingly of the square based on that area measurement of the circle being pi. And it turns out to be 2.718. That number looks really familiar. It's the Euler number. So he matched the circle in area to a square in the Euler number. It's the second most important mathematical constant, arguably even more than the golden ratio. It wasn't even discovered as a math constant until Isaac Newton 200 years later.
Wow.
What was Da Vinci trying to tell us? What was he really trying to tell us? And by the way, the masculine is represented by the square. The feminine is represented by the circle.
Why is that?
I think it has to do with rationality and irrationality. If we had a world that's only squares and straight lines and everything, it'd be kind of boring. And yet we all can be confounded sometimes because we just don't understand the nature of emotion, just like we don't understand the nature exactly of irrationality.
Or this reality.
So we had to have sort of this offset of rational within something that's totally irrational, inexplicable. It doesn't really make sense. Just like it's hard to logically describe an emotion, but that's what makes the universe beautiful. It's what brings this curve, this inexplicability to our experience. It's sort of like the wild card aspect of the universe. And sometimes for a man to understand a woman can be incredibly confounding, but that's the beauty of it. Instead of trying to completely understand it, we learn to accept it. We don't need to take it in through the logos, but rather take it in because each one of us, male or female, have both energies. So when I started realizing that Da Vinci had encrypted knowledge of essentially gravitation, essentially of scalar waves and the differential between scalar waves and transverse waves, all into one proportion between a square and a circle that had to be deliberately chosen to get that exact proportion that happened to also match the slope angle of the Great Pyramid, then you realize you're in a game. All
right, so I had a lot of comments on how this thing works and how you light it and what it looks like on the inside. So here we go. I got a old Freon tank I cut in half. A lot, just because it's real thick. So what you're going to do here, we got a little paint cup here. Pour some diesel in there like that. Throw that in the pot. I use these blue shop towels in the shop. I get a couple of these and I saved. They're all nasty and oily. Throw those in there, stick it under the pot. Get your matte gas torch. Pour it in there. Get it lit for a second. Let that start going. I'll go ahead and crack open my valve here. Wait for the oil to start dripping down in there. A switch for my fan yet. When you start turning the fan on, see it's a little rich. It's a little rich at first. Some smoke starting it up. So another question I had was how much smoke does it put out? You can see there's no smoke on the inside here. This is what the fire looks like right now. Step outside real quick so you can see. That's the exhaust right there. It's very clean burning. And yeah, I do plan on finishing this, putting a stack and everything on it eventually. I just threw this together in about a day to get some heat going. So that's pretty much it. That's how it works. Never figured this would get the amount of views that it did. But if you have any more questions, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Have a good day.